Hello and welcome to a brand new Parry's Pickup. Thanks very much for joining us for this video. So today we got 4 more games to talk about that I've picked up within, pretty much within the last week, believe it or not. We're actually not going to show gameplay footage of 3 of them, but we're going to rely on trailers. The reason for that is that 2 of them I haven't played. Shock horror, no. So what I usually like to try and do with these videos, I like to play the games before I talk about them, because obviously what you want to watch is you want to watch somebody who's got a knowledge of these games actually giving you a good reason to buy or not buy the game. So that's what I always try and do in Parry's Pickups. But these 2 games that I haven't played are Kinect games, and just within the last week I haven't felt like playing a Kinect game, which sounds bad because, you know, I should make the extra effort to do that. But Kinect games require a little bit more energy, and I've not had energy or time to play these 2 games. So my apologies out the door, but we're going to start with the games I have played. And these have been keeping me quite busy this week. And this is perhaps the newest game. Now, it's not the newest game we featured, because we have featured the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection and Sega Mega Drive Classics recently, but they are compilations of older games. This is a new game, a recent game, and that game is Splatoon 2. Now, I say this is new and recent. Of course, this has been available on the Switch for, quite some time now, but it is one of my few physical Switch games, and for me getting a new Switch game is quite a big deal. They're not cheap, and so it was only when I saw this game on sale in the Nintendo E3 sale for about £33, I thought, well, that's actually quite good for a first party Nintendo game, and I considered downloading it. But then I thought, actually, if I download that, I'm going to have to buy some sort of SD card for my Switch to increase its memory, so I had the space to play it. I was like, I don't want to do that. Well, why don't I just look online, see if I can get this game cheap? And of course, getting it new, very expensive. If you went down to CX or a discount game store, this would also be rather expensive. Luckily, I found someone on eBay who was selling it for £33. Well, a little bit below actually, because it came to just shy of the price of the download versions. I think this was 10p cheaper than what it was if you were to download it. So yeah, that would be my advice. If you ever see something on sale that's first party Nintendo, just check what it is on the second hand market as well, because if you want to save on space, then I think it's a good way to go. And I'm more happy to have a physical version of Splatoon 2, and it also has reversible artwork, which I really love, and I really enjoy the art style of Splatoon. So first of all, I'll talk about that. It looks great. It's got a lot in common with the original Splatoon on Wii U, which I played and enjoyed, although it does have some additional things to it. It has some slight improvements here and there to make the experience a little bit better. It also has new modes. Salmon Run, is it Salmon Run? I forget, because Salmon Run is a wave-based horde mode kind of thing, where waves of enemies will come at you and you destroy them. Occasionally a boss enemy come along that will drop eggs, and your goal is to take the eggs and put them into your base, or I can't think what it's called. You have a little place where you can transport the eggs to. The bosses drop like 3 eggs, but you can only carry 1 at a time, so you can always go back and pick up the other ones, but you've got to watch out for little salmons. These salmons, again, this is why I love Splatoon. I love the character design, the imagination in Splatoon. It's quite unique. These little guys will come out and they'll steal the eggs and take them back, so keep your eye out for them. Bosses come in different shapes and different strategies to defeat them. And it's that really good kind of arcade pick up and play mode for you can play the single play and play it with friends as well. So that's nice. I'm really happy that the Salmon Run mode is included here. You got a brand new story mode, which plays very similar to the original Splatoon story mode, but you've got some extra weapons and stuff and new levels, and it's a good continuation from what I played of Splatoon 1 story mode. So that's cool. You can play locally as well. Unfortunately, not on one Switch. You will need to have 2 Switches in order to play Salmon Run or maybe some of the multiplayer modes, local multiplayer. So, for example, if you're on a trip or something, if you're on a plane or a train, and you've got a friend with a Switch, you can enjoy the multiplayer modes of Splatoon. That's really cool as well. All the shops are in there because for those... I should maybe explain a little bit what Splatoon's about if you've never heard of it. I assume you probably have if you watch this channel, but it's like Nintendo's first-person shooter. I say first-person, scratch that, it's third-person, but it's an arena-based game where you have weapons, but you don't shoot each other, really. You can, but the objective is to cover the biggest area in your team's colour. So you do that by spraying ink, in this case, out of your weapon to cover the largest area. At the end of the matches are really short, so it's a great pick up and play game, so it's 5 minutes or so, and see if you can cover the biggest space. You're in a team of 4 or 5, can't remember exactly. I think that's maybe 4. Yeah, it's 4 versus 4, sorry. And the games are fast and fun, and I play this on a very basic level, I feel, because Splatoon's got a lot of customization involved with it, and how you do that is you can go to these shops and you can buy new shirts, new hats, new shoes, and what they do is they give you advantages in the main game, in multiplayer. So maybe, let me try and think of an example of that. The thing is, I haven't got so deep into the customization, so it's quite sort of daunting at first, because you'll notice as you play, your items of clothing and stuff will sort of level up and gain new abilities, and if you're not really sure what's going on, you have to sort of research those abilities and find out exactly how they're helping you. But if you want to play in a certain way, using different weapons or different clothes, sorry, a bit hay fever at the moment, it can really change up the game quite a lot. So I've heard that within the single player mode you can kind of get involved with the customization, so you can use that as maybe a way to test out strategies and such, and see if you like a particular weapon or outfit, whatever, and see if that's really helping your game. Anyway, I'll try and keep this brief because we've talked about Splatoon 2 for a while, but I've really enjoyed my time with it. I wouldn't say it's a heck of a lot different than the original Splatoon on the Wii U, but of course I can't imagine many people are playing the original Wii U Splatoon anymore, so if you really enjoy Splatoon online, you want to keep going with it, then you can get this. But do bear in mind that Nintendo will start charging for their online service, I think by the end of the year, so there is some single player things you can do, obviously the main story mode, and you can play that local multiplayer modes as well. But yeah, if you're going to invest in this, you might want to think about whether or not you want to pay to play your Switch online, because you can miss out on probably the most appealing chunk of the game, which is a multiplayer. One thing that they've carried over from Splatoon 1, which I don't like, is the fact that they alternate maps, so only 2 maps are available every day. So yeah, you have to play the same 2 maps all day until the next day when they bring more available. And there's a lot of maps and a lot of variety in the game, but depending on how often you play it, you might not see a lot of that. So I still think that's a bit of a shame, and I'd like Nintendo to be able to change it up. You can change your loadout in between games now, which is nice. So if you play a match, you find you don't like a weapon, you want to swap before the next match, you can do that. But finding a game online is pretty easy and straightforward. It all works as you would hope it would. So Splatoon 2, highly recommended online multiplayer Switch game with some single player options when you're on the go. So the next game I'm going to talk about is another game I've actually played, and that is Far Cry 4, which I've recently picked up in Derby for £7. £7, quite a lot for a PS3 game still, but a little cheaper than it has been recently. This was from CX, and I like it, and it looks great on PS3. So if you're wondering whether or not to go for the PS4 or PS3 version, Xbox 360 or Xbox One version of this game, or PC maybe, this looks great on PS3. Of course, you know, I always consider PS4 versions of games which released on last generation just to be like slightly more refined versions. In some cases though, the newer versions are much better. In the case of Shadow of Mordor, gameplay is stripped back quite considerably in the previous generation versions. This one, however, I think, as far as I can tell, maintains everything you'd expect from Far Cry 4. So don't think this is like some crappier version of the PS4, Xbox One game. If you want to save yourself a couple of quid, I mean, it's now actually quite affordable on other consoles. But the reason I picked it up on PS3 was because I don't have a Far Cry game on PS3. I thought it'd be nice to be able to have one example of that series on that console. I do have Far Cry Primal on Xbox One. I have, I think, all the other Far Cries on Xbox 360. So, short of getting Far Cry 5 PS4, I've now got one on all the main systems. Anyway, more about the actual game. So it's, yeah, I call this a sandbox first-person shooter. It's similar to something like Just Cause, but in first person. And you're taking your father's ashes to a certain place in in the Himalayas, in the Himalayan countryside, and you enter an area which is sort of run by this guy called Pagan Min, and he's like a bit of a dictator who's kind of, he's taken over this place, and people living in fear of him, and you kind of join this resistance group as you get kidnapped, taken captive by Pagan Min. And he's a very charismatic villain. So he's, first of all, you've got a great villain in the game. He'll occasionally talk to you on your radio as you play and kind of provoke you and such. But he's that kind of charismatic villain that you love to hate. So first of all, he's there, and he's a good character. And so yeah, you team up with this resistance, and you start doing missions for them, where you try and get to your main goal of getting your father's ashes to this. I think it's like a shrine or a temple that you're trying to get to. So that's your overall goal, but during that you become entangled in this liberation attempt by the resistance. Gameplay's really nice. Ubisoft have really finely crafted their Far Cry series to the point where you kind of know what to expect going in if you play. I played Primal previously to this, so there's a lot of gameplay that's similar. It's got a lot in common with other open world games, for example, collecting flowers and plants and stuff. That, I say that as the first thing, but there are a lot of collectibles on the map, and you can use them to craft things and sell things, money to buy new weapons and upgrade weapons. So there's lots of customization and upgrading in this game. You can also travel the huge open world landscape in vehicles. So far I've only experienced a little. Oh, actually, no, there's a buggy that I've used, and I've forgotten what they're called, but they're they tuk-tuks, little vehicles which are often used as taxis within Asia, and that's cool. So that's a couple of different vehicles I've experienced, and also there's animals everywhere, and what you can do is if you kill an animal, you can take some of their meat and you can use that as bait, and you can throw the bait to attract, say, a bear to an area where there's a lot of villains, and so you can get the bear to kill the villains for you. So yeah, the way you can sort of tame animals in this is quite cool, and again that's something that was in Far Cry Primal as well. I feel that those two games have a lot in common. Now, I've not played a lot of the other Far Cry, so I'm not sure if I can say they've got as much in common as 4 and Primal, but so far it's been a very familiar experience for me, having played a bit Primal. Of course, you've got guns in this, which is different from Primal, so if you want something that's a bit more modern, it's actually got some shooting in it, then I'd recommend this over Primal. Primal itself is quite a unique experience because that's cavemen, prehistoric. What more can I say about it? It's very good. Even though it's a little bit older now, it's still worth playing, I'd say, for sure. And I'm taking that Far Cry 5 will carry on this same formula. So maybe if you want something a bit newer, then go for Far Cry 5. But this has got a very unique world within it. It's not often you play a game set in the Himalayan countryside and you have such a great charismatic villain. But also I think charismatic villains are also an element of Far Cry, as far as I can tell. So yeah, play this if you want to experience a beautiful landscape with animals and shooting and yeah, a big open world game for lots to explore. So I think because I've covered 2 games which there's a lot to talk about with, and I've actually played quite a bit, that's actually created a video which is slightly longer than I was anticipating, which is great. So it doesn't matter maybe so much I haven't played the next 2 games. I'm briefly going to skim over. So this is Fighters Uncaged, 50p from CEX in Derby. I think I've heard that this isn't very good. 50p, I was willing to give it a go. Basically, it's a fighting game where you are the controller. How well that works, I don't know, but it's Ubisoft, so you've got to expect a certain amount of polish from it. It's published by Ubisoft, so it's not internally developed by them, so we shall wait and see. I think it's quite an ambitious game which didn't kind of fulfill all the promises it made, but we'll give it a go. Maybe I can tell you in next time's video what that one was like. And last of all, a game which I actually mentioned last week that didn't get featured in last week's episode because again I didn't have time for Kinect games at that point. This is Kinect Sports, classic Kinect game. You could argue it wasn't really bettered with Kinect Sports 2. I don't know about the one on Xbox One, but I'm interested to try it. Don't have the Xbox One Kinect camera yet. But this one, very good. The sports you've got in here are boxing, track and field, football, table tennis, beach volleyball and championship bowling. And it works really well. I have actually played this briefly when the Kinect first came out because I think it was either Dave or Mike from the Blast Process team who had a copy of this and had a little go of it then. So it's nice. It's a game to get if you have the Kinect camera for 360. A must have really. And so there we have it. That was another episode of Parry's Pickups. Thanks very much for watching the video. If you like this video, be sure to like it down below. If you didn't like it, then put the thumbs down. It's quite up to you. If you like the content we do here, please subscribe to the channel. There's new videos coming in regularly. Take a look at our other videos as well while you're at it. There's now 91 episodes of Parry's Pickups and a couple of bonuses, so we cover so many games in those episodes that I'm sure you're going to find something of interest there. Tom plays every week. Last week we did, what did we do? We did the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, so if you want to see how that game fares online, then be sure to check out that video as well. But for now, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you again very soon for another Parry's Pickups. Game on!